Thank you very much. Now, renowned author, academician and lawyer Isaac Lubogo believes that Africans have for a long time been misled from the good realities of their own culture, which would have been a basis to solve many of the socio-economic and political challenges faced today. Lubogo will strike you as a contemporary philosopher whose literary works are currently being used for reference to educate law students in various mainstream universities of Uganda. I had a chance to interact with him. Having authored 25 books so far about the law profession of Uganda, you can easily know that Isaac Lubogo has the country at heart and wants to see the potential of every citizen fully utilized.
Those of you who may have some knowledge about constitutional law, we had what we call the Order in Council and then the Inception Clause. Many of the laws that we have today are grafted on a foreign law, and that law is not our law. Our law was negated, was suffocated, and was thrown into the dumps. So my argument in terms of legal realism, trying to make an emphasis in terms of encouraging Africans to go back to ourselves, to understand ourselves. Because when we go back and understand ourselves, then we shall have cultures and norms that actually thrive out of our traditions. This would help us to rediscover ourselves. Most of the nations, by the way, that have actually made a mark on this country or in this world today, have been nations that have actually grafted on their own ideals. Take an example of China. To go talk about the Asian giants, all those, they have actually embedded their education system into their own culture and norms, and that has given them a foundation and a basis under which to excel.
He argues that the lack of interest to read by many Ugandans has kept them away from fulfilling their God-given purposes, a culture that the Ministry of Education must promote proactively.
The culture of Africans is that we don't want to read, and that's the problem with us. And yet, if we only put our minds to reading, we will be able to discover many things. You see, necessity is the mother of all inventions. All these so-called countries that we pride on and want to imitate have resonated from a culture of reading and discovery. Innovation is the mother of invention, like they say. So if we don't have that culture of reading and that culture of research, that idea of trying to go think outside the box and throw the box away, then we're not going to free our minds. Our minds have been captivated where we understand. Listen to the word, understand. Meaning, we should not understand because we have put a limitation, but we should overstand.
Some of the successful books he has authored include Obuntu Bulamu and the Law, Freedom Through the Law, Intelligent Design. He also republished his father's book titled History of Busoga.
We have other books, for example, like the law of forensics. Listen, we have got so many issues that have happened in this country where people have been shot without answers. Motorbike people come, they shoot generals, they go, and the only best thing we do is to go to England and get Scotland land, and we never resolve these puzzles. How about if we go back to understand what DNA is about? How about if we go back and understand how we can resolve these puzzles in terms of forensic law? This is a must-read for the generation that are happening today. We have other books, for example, cryptology, the law of cryptology, in terms of cryptocurrencies, bitcoins and Ethereum. These are things that are happening today in the world. We have other incredible books, for example, like media law. And for some of you who are journalists, for example, media law and journalism. Perhaps it's time to understand how to protect the rights of journalists rather than simply beating them up when they come to, to exercise their mandate.
Lubogo is part of a think tank society of lawyers who exercise their intellectual acumen in a bid to harness the potential of young Ugandans. Shockingly, Lubogo's books are all free of charge, and digital copies can be found on his website, lubogo.org. He says it is his way of giving back to Uganda. Wadulo Makano, UBC News, in Kampala.